YouTubers, welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. Got a dozen topics for you here this morning. All the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. First one we've got here is off Conservative Tribune. It says Air Force sending F-35 fighter jets to train right on Russia's doorstep. And we'll get it up here. Screen. It says, while President Donald Trump talked on the campaign trail about his wish for improved relations with Russia, his first 3 months in office have shown that when it comes to Russia, sometimes what you want isn't always what you get. Tensions between U.S. and Russia have increased in recent months. Last week, Russia flew multiple nuclear-capable bombers off the Alaska coast, and now it appears that the U.S. has taken actions to remind Russia just how powerful we are. The Air Force is deploying several F-35A fighter jets, the newest jet the Air Force has, to Estonia to train almost literally on top of Russia's doorstep, in actions the Russians have indicated doesn't make them too happy. This is an action that threatens our interests, our security, Dmitry Peskov, a Kremlin spokesman, stated. Here's a crazy idea, Peskov. If you don't fly your outdated nuclear-capable bombers within a few dozen miles of Alaska, we won't put our most technologically advanced fighters right on your border. How's that sound? Insisted this deployment of F-35s wasn't in response to any particular incident, though the timing of it certainly did raise some questions. As we and our joint F-35 partners bring this aircraft into our inventories, it's important that we train together to integrate into a seamless team of capable defending the sovereignty of our allied nations. D. Walters, commander of the U.S. Air Forces in Europe, explained. Rutgers noted that this deployment is part of a broader strategy by the U.S. to reassure NATO allies in Eastern Europe that America is standing with them in face of a very aggressive Russia. The Washington Examiner reported that the F-35s will be in Estonia for several weeks, though ultimately the U.S. wants to have them permanently stationed in Europe within the next few years. That America is not going to hesitate to take on our enemies, and this latest deployment of the most advanced fighter jet in the world should remind Russia just what we're capable of. Russia needs to understand that the days of the cowardly President Barack Obama are over. There's a new president in town, and they'd be wise to back off. Conservative Tribune, it says China delivers humiliating slap to Kim Jong-un. Tensions on the Korean Peninsula have reached dangerous levels over the past few weeks, sparking concern in China that a second Korean War may be right around the corner. No desire to see the United States topple the North Korean regime and plant a pro-Western government right on China's borders. In fact, it appears that China may be taking actions to rein in North Korea. Published by the Global Times, a newspaper widely believed to be the unofficial mouthpiece of the China's Communist Party, warned that North Korea would suffer if it conducted another nuclear test. Between Washington and Pyongyang has come to a breaking point. If North Korea carries out a sixth nuclear test as expected, it's more than likely than ever the situation will cross the point of no return. All stakeholders will bear the consequences, with Pyongyang sure to suffer the greatest losses, the editorial read. To suggest that China wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. launched a strike against North Korea if the country conducted another nuclear test, and perhaps more importantly, the article never suggested that China would respond to such an action. The U.S. launched surgical strikes against North Korea's nuclear and missile facilities. The Pyongyang regime will be forced to make a life or death decision. By then, if North Korea does not resort to strategic retaliation, its deterrence will lose ground and will play like it's a fiddle, it's stated in the article. Just scroll down a little bit more. There we go. It says China has already taken unprecedented action to show its displeasure with North Korea, such as turning away coal shipments from the country. Repeatedly stated that he wants the Chinese to do more to stop North Korea, but that if they are unwilling to help him, alone against North Korea. China is in a tough spot right now. Right now, their best option is to exert whatever pressure they have to get North Korea to calm down before the United States takes action. In the end, Times editorial urging Pyongyang to step back might be just that kind of pressure. It says, yet given North Korea's current national strength as well as its peculiar geopolitical circumstances, it must learn how to be flexible as well as resolute. Step back will make a conflict easier to solve. This does not mean being a coward, but being courageous to face the challenge in a different way. The Korean nuclear issue is like a puzzle filled with bombs. Pyongyang must not strike a match and detonate it. It is big wisdom to realize a soft landing. The question is whether the North Koreans will listen. Not, because if you heard my breaking story a while ago, last evening about this, Jimmy put off another one of his nuclear tests, and it blew up as usual. Didn't do what they wanted it to do, but he's not going to quit. So this is going to be something we're going to have to watch, because we're right on the brink of war right now. The next article we have is off the dailymail.co.uk. It says, future of war, the Marines test robots with machine guns and hyper subs, it says, to storm the beaches. U.S. Marines are testing 50 autonomous weapons at Camp Pendleton, California. Army of drones and weaponized robots could one day be used to storm beaches. Team is also testing hypersub speedboat that can transform into a submarine. Using robots on the front line could protect the lives of soldiers. The U.S. Marines could one day use amphibious tanks and robots with machine guns to storm beaches. Researchers are quietly testing robots at the Navy's Camp Pendleton base in California. Using high-tech drones and weaponized robots on the front line could help protect the lives of soldiers. And there is some video in this if you want to pull it up and take a look at what they're coming up with. It says among the new weapons are robots armed with machine guns that can storm beaches at first line of assault. Testing speedboats that can transform into stealthy submarines to hide from threats. The futuristic machinery has been undergoing tests for the last 2 weeks at the ship-to-shore maneuver exploration and experimentation advanced naval technology exercise base at Camp Pendleton. Tests are trying to work out if the robots can go from naval ships to shorelines. Marine officers have also been putting the machines through their paces in a range of realistic military scenarios. Using robots as the first line of attack during beach invasions could save lives, according to the U.S. Marines. More video. And get this to cooperate here. It says the unmanned ground vehicle and the operated weapons extended that capability, saving human life out to 2,000 meters, so we can be in protective position, seeing what's going on in the battlefield and be engaging with the enemy, a U.S. Marine official told Fox News. He added that the robots could be used to extend human capability in a hazardous environment. Tested include amphibious tanks, airborne drones, and weaponized ground bots. The Navy are pinning their hopes on a ground machine armed with a machine gun known as the Multi-Utility Tactical Transport, or the MUT robot. These machines can drive themselves during beach invasions and use tracks rather than wheels to navigate seas and slopes. And there's some more pictures of what they're coming up with. It says there are two-wheeled variants, the 8x8 and the 6x6, and the robots can be armed with a range of different weapons weighing up to 600 pounds. As well as leading on the front line, the robots can fight alongside soldiers during invasions. Another weapon attracting attention is the Fathom, a hypersub speedboat that can transform into a submarine. And they've got some more pictures I'm up with. It says the hybrid uses two 480 HP Yanmar 6 LY3-ETP diesel engines to cruise along at 38 miles per hour. The vehicle can dive repeatedly to evade detection and was built to withstand sudden pressure changes. On demand, it has 30,000 pounds of lift. The hybrid vehicle could be used for surveillance and scouting. Another link if you want to read more on this subject. It says U.S. Marines could deploy robots and hypersubs to storm future beaches. So you can click on that to learn more on it. The next one here is off of Conservative Tribune. Alert! North Korea announces nuclear game changer. Entire Senate is briefed. As tensions between the United States and Korea heighten amid the communist country's nuclear weapons program, Washington has been on high alert. In fact, the technological advancements of Pyongyang have become so concerning that the entire U.S. Senate was invited to the White House on Wednesday for a briefing on the matter, according to Fox News. The meeting comes on the heels of North Korea's official newspaper, Rongdong Sinmun, publishing an editorial that the country's military was prepared with various precision and miniaturized nuclear weapons and submarine-launched ballistic missiles to bring closure the history of the U.S. scheming and nuclear blackmail. What they say. There is no limit to the strike power. Oops, it slipped up on me a little bit here. There is no limit to the strike power of the People's Army, armed with our style of cutting-edge military equipment, the editorial read. Thomas Caraco, director of the Missile Defense Project at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, said North Korea's miniaturized nuclear weapon potential was of utmost concern. It raises the stakes and increases the risk of missile threats to the region and the U.S. homeland, Caraco told Fox News. The smaller nuclear weapon, or the smaller the nuclear weapon, the farther away North Korea could deliver it, in theory at least. North Korea released photographs of Kim inspecting what appeared to be miniaturized explosive devices or implosion devices on March the 9th, but officials questioned the legitimacy of the photos. No reason to believe that it's true or to disbelieve it. No reason to dismiss it or to panic, Caraco said. I think that our insight into these programs is relatively modest. I think the posture of our military is to assume the worst. The, this guy's name is Dr. Siegfried Hacker, a Stratford professor who directed the Los Alamos Weapons Laboratory in New Mexico, the birthplace of the atomic bomb from 1986 to 1997, and whom the North Koreans have let into their facility 7 times, recently noted that any ballistic missile that could travel from the Korean peninsula to the U.S. would have to be smaller, lighter, and surmount the additional difficulties of the stresses and temperatures of a fiery re-entry into the atmosphere. By most estimates, that is 4 or 5 years away, the New York Times noted on Monday. Then again, many senior officials said the same 4 or 5 years ago. While leader Kim Jong-un has a reputation for bizarre behavior, the nuclear arsenal and aspirations of North Korea have been taken seriously as world leaders prepare for a potential 6th nuclear weapon test from the reclusive country. And as I reported earlier, they did that just a few hours ago. North Korea has conducted 5 nuclear tests, well, now 6, in the past 11 years, with the last several being the most concerning to U.S. and its allies. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Joseph Dunford, and Director of National Intelligence Dan Coats updated all 100 members of the Senate on the situation Wednesday afternoon. The rare White House meeting was held in the Eisenhower Executive Office Building auditorium, which was reportedly made into a sensitive, compartmented information facility, meaning top secret information could be shared, according to ABC News. The senators came at the personnel or the personal invitation of President Donald Trump after Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell requested a briefing. The next article I have for you is off of BizPac Review. It says, Democratic senator slammed for using tweet to undermine North Korea briefing as a Trump 100-day photo op. Politics is politics, but undermining the commander-in-chief at times of heightened military concern is a whole other story. U.S. Senator Chris Murphy turned to social media to go after President Donald Trump before a classified briefing Wednesday at the White House on the very real threat of North Korea's nuclear weapons program, referring to the event as a 100-day photo op. On board the bus to the 100-day photo op North Korea briefing, the Connecticut Democrat tweeted with a picture of the bus. You know, he's sitting in the bus, taking a picture. It says, on board the bus to the 100-day photo op North Korea briefing. While Murphy may have taken issue with having to ride a bus, the fact remains that Majority Leader Mitch McConnell asked the Trump administration to brief the upper chamber on the crisis, saying from the Senate floor that the president graciously agreed to do it down at the White House. Murphy likely took his cue from Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democratic minority leader, who took to the Senate floor to call into question just how serious the briefing might be. And Washington Examiner put out a tweet with a picture of the White House and the bus sitting in front of it. It says, Democrat dismisses North Korea briefing as photo op. This growing practice by Democrats of putting party before country in their Trump derangement may come to represent a much greater danger to the United States than a little fat dictator half a globe away. Meanwhile, lives of millions of people in several allied countries remain at risk. One thing is certain, with the attitude Murphy's display goes on here, there wasn't much chance that he would be positive afterwards. Instead, he doubled down on his attack on the administration. He says, I think the intent was to bring the Senate over to the White House, both as a PR show of force by the White House, but also demonstrate how serious the administration is about the North Korean threat. And NPR answered it saying, listen, Senator Chris Murphy tells NPR he heard no new information at today's White House briefing on North Korea. Low information supporters, see Democratic voters, ignored the facts and followed Murphy's lead to blast the president, saying things like, NPR, not my take. POTUS makes 100 people come to him. The mountain has come to Muhammad. Of course, until the country starts labeling actions such as this for what they are, anti-American behavior, it's likely to continue. Fortunately, social media users see the light. Here's a sampling of responses from Twitter. One says, Dana Booz and Murphy care about more hating POTUS and appealing to libs than in the security of our country. Yep, he's a dum-dum. The next one says, this congressman is not taking national security seriously. I hope his home district is taking notice. Another one says, tell the American people a lot about who the Dems really are, communists. Another one says, coming from the dummies who think they protect us by giving enemies pallets of cash, feckless sanctions, and just believe what the terrorists say. Another one says, must have been confused with the administration this 2017, not 2009 through 2016. Another one says, so will you go to North Korea to discuss weapons program? Why not? No balls, just a big mouth? Another one says, can you not take our national security seriously? And the final one says, again, Democrats do not care about safety of U.S. citizens, only about their own agenda. The next article is off Conservative Tribune. It says, Russia unveils plans for world's biggest nuclear submarine. Russian President Vladimir Putin has revealed plans to expand Russia's military, and the additions could have serious implications for the rest of the world. A translation of the Russian newspaper Avestia reported that Moscow had revealed plans for Project 09852, or Belgorod, which is intended to be the biggest nuclear-powered submarine on Earth. The vessel would be over 600 feet long and approximately 45 feet longer than the USS Pennsylvania, the biggest submarine in the U.S. Navy. The sub will reportedly carry out deep sea exploration in the Arctic. It will also carry scientific equipment and smaller unmanned submarines into the Arctic. It will transport and install autonomous nuclear submarine modules designed to charge uninhabited submarines on the seabed. Professor Vadim Koyuklin of the Academy of Military Science told Avestia. The submarine will ensure the deployment of a global underwater monitoring system, which the military is building on the bottom of the Arctic waters. Reportedly be equipped with 20 ballistic missile launchers and 10 nuclear warheads. The bow of the ship, or the bow of the sub will contain 6 torpedo tubes, which can fire torpedoes and underwater high-speed missiles, Avestia reported. Reportedly include a swimming pool, a gym, and a smoking room. The announcement was another example of how Putin has been flexing his military muscle recently. Putin has reportedly increased the size of his naval fleet, and just last week, Russian bombers were spotted on 2 separate occasions flying off the coast of Alaska. Russian naval vessels were also spotted off the U.S. coast in March. Russia has also reportedly sent troops to the North Korean border. Russia shows of force are an obvious reaction to escalating tensions in the world, and they deserve attention. Then halves off of Liberty Headlines, it says Trump will overturn Obama's permanent Arctic offshore drilling ban. President Donald Trump will sign an executive order on Friday, which was yesterday, rescinding an Obama-era policy keeping most of the Arctic seas off limits to drilling and asking the Department of the Interior to review the current 5-year offshore leasing plan. Department of the Interior Secretary Ryan Zink told reporters Thursday evening that the America First Offshore Energy Order would reverse an executive order issued in the final weeks of former President Barack Obama's tenure. In December, Obama designated the vast majority of U.S. waters in the Chukchi and Beaufort Seas as indefinitely off limits to offshore oil and gas leasing, and promised to review drilling through a climate lens. Environmentalists claimed that the ban was permanent since the former president relied on a 1953 law that does not give a future president the power to undo a drilling ban. There is no case law on the matter, but activists will likely challenge Trump's repeal. We are reversing those and putting those into review, Zink told reporters in a press briefing. Zink said the order was direct, or try this again. Zink said the order also directs his department to review regulations and permits for offshore drilling. He expects the review to take years, stressing it would not change the current offshore leasing plan. Trump promised to rescind job-killing energy regulations imposed by the Obama administration. Zink said potentially opening up more offshore energy opportunities could spur job growth. I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East, Zink said. It's a lot better to produce it here with reasonable regulations than overseas with no environmental regulations. It's better to produce energy here than be held hostage by foreign enemies, he added. Zink also said offshore wind turbines would be considered in the review, which is popular with coastal state governors. The review will also greenlight seismic testing in the Atlantic Ocean and other areas to get a better idea of what resources are out there. This is not about giving one section of our energy a step up or a step down. We don't pick winners and losers. The market has got to react to that, Zink said. Trump's order also prevents the Department of Commerce from creating new marine national monuments or expanding existing ones. The department will be ordered to conduct a review of offshore monuments to see if they run afoul of the original intent of the Antiquities Act. That review is similar to the one Trump signed Wednesday, ordering the Interior Department to conduct a review on land-based national monuments. Interior will examine whether national monuments created over the past 20 years should be rescinded or modified. Zink said 94% of U.S. offshore areas were off limits to all development. Those areas are estimated to hold 90 billion barrels of oil and 127 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. Environmentalists weren't happy with Zink's announcement. Activists pointed to the 2010 BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico as evidence why offshore drilling is too dangerous. Let me be clear. That would be a huge, bad, stupid mistake. I doubt President Trump would want to see Mar-a-Lago or any of his other coastal resorts covered in oil. Jacqueline Savitz, Senior Vice President for Oceans at Oceana, said in a statement. Zink said environmental concerns were valid, adding that he would not rescind environmental or safety regulations deemed effective in their review. Zink wants to enforce policies that aren't arbitrary, a major criticism of Obama-era offshore policies. Next article is off of Liberty Writers. It says, right after liberals said they blocked the wall, Trump made a huge announcement. And we got to blow this one up a little bit bigger. Get the type up here where it can be seen. Lying media and liberal politicians have been doing a lot of nonsense boasting about shutting down the border wall. They said Trump taking it out of the budget means he gave up. Not so fast. President Trump called reporters into his office today to make his message loud and clear. The wall gets built 100%, he said. It seems Trump wanted to set the record straight once and for all. He continued saying, the wall's going to get built, folks. In case anybody has any question, the wall's going to get built. We're already preparing. We're doing plans. We're doing specifications. We're doing a lot of work on the wall, and the wall gets built. Not only that, Trump also tweeted out, don't let the fake media tell you that I have changed my position on the wall. It will get built and help stop drugs and human trafficking, etc. That's right. There is a man with a mission. I'm certain he will get it done. He needs the wall to help root out horrible cartel gangs like the MS-13 who murder and rape teenagers all the time. I think there's also a lot more people who want to see that wall get built than the media's letting on. If you want to see it get built, then share this with your family and friends and say, build that wall. The next article that I have for you is off of Liberty Headlines. It says, Congress asked Trump to prosecute Hillary's private server team. The private internet company hired by former Secretary of State Clinton to maintain her private email server has been obstructing a congressional investigation into its actions for more than a year, prompting a leading lawmaker, prompting a leading lawmaker to refer the case to Trump administration Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. Representative Lamar Smith, Republican of Texas, chairman of the House Science, Space and Technology Committee, has asked the DOJ to prosecute Platte River Network CEO Trev Suazo, I think that's how it's pronounced, Wabo, for obstructing a congressional investigation into his company's role in providing security for Clinton's homegrown email server, which became the subject of widespread debate following revelations that it had multiple security vulnerabilities. The committee is referring Mr. Trev Savo, CEO of Platte River Networks, to the Department of Justice for prosecution under federal laws pertaining to failure to produce subpoenaed documents, making false statements to Congress regarding possession of documents, and obstructing Congress, Smith said in a statement. Platte River Networks, a company hired by former Secretary Hillary Clinton, has deliberately withheld requested materials from the committee and refused to comply with lawfully issued subpoenas, Smith alleged. With a new administration in place, I'm hopeful that the Department of Justice will appropriately respond to the referral. We cannot allow companies with valuable information to stonewall us in our oversight efforts. Multiple subpoenas and letters from the Congressional Investigation Team went unanswered by Platte River, prompting Smith to refer the case to the DOJ for criminal prosecution. Congressional investigators allege that the company is guilty of failing to produce key documents, making false statements to Congress, and of obstructing the investigation into Clinton's server. Next article is off of Liberty Writers. It says, everyone is turning their head at shocking thing Trump did in the wee hours of the night. Leaders of Mexico and Canada have both agreed last night to renegotiate the North American Free Trade Agreement called NAFTA, according to the White House. Trump said on Thursday that he was willing to terminate the trade agreement if they couldn't make a fair deal. It's my privilege to bring NAFTA up to date through renegotiation, Trump said on Wednesday. It's an honor to deal with both Mexican President Enrique Pena Nieto and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and I believe that the end result will make all three countries stronger and better. The White House just added that Trump will not agree to, Trump will not agree to not terminate NAFTA at this time, and instead Trump, Mexico, and China swiftly according to the required internal procedures to enable the renegotiation of NAFTA. Trump is delivering on everything that he promised. He's going to fix our trade deal. He's just got both countries to agree to negotiate with him. See everything you need to know about what Trump's cooking up in a video that they have here. It's called Trump Targets NAFTA. And then the article goes on. It says, Trump is so smart on this, the fake news media keeps on lying about him while he spends time getting things done. That's why we need your help to get this amazing news out there. Trump is about fixing NAFTA. The next article I have is off of BizPac Review. It says, Sean Spicer zings press with one heck of a response to adequate Michael Flynn vetting. Thanks, Obama. Democrats and media outlets are still trying to find anything to tie President Donald Trump's administration to Russian influence, and their latest vehicle is General Michael Flynn, Trump's short-lived national security advisor. And there's video of Sean in this if you want to watch it. It says, Flynn was forced to resign his position after having served about 3 weeks after it was learned that he'd misled Vice President Mike Pence about communications he'd had with the Russian ambassador. Since his February 13th resignation, the Defense Department Inspector General reported that in 2015, Flynn accepted funds from the Russian-owned news media outlet Russia Today. That payment prompted a reporter to ask at Thursday's daily briefing whether White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer was satisfied with the vetting Flynn was subjected to by the Trump administration. Spicer replied that Flynn's career military status required that he maintain a high-level security clearance. His clearance was last reissued by the Obama administration in 2016 with full knowledge of his activities in 2015, he continued. Boom, he got spiced. Go take it up with the guy accepting 400,000 Wall Street dollar, or try this again, accepting $400,000 Wall Street speaking engagements. And there's a bunch of tweets in this if you want to read them. One of them says, also another government employee making the trip to Russia or meeting with Russians under the Obama, yet they're colluding. Dems for you. The final article I have is off BizPac Review. It says, don't be politician. Trump advises and surprises kids, then brings them to Spicer for fun White House press briefing. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer led an off-the-record press briefing with a very different group of reporters on Thursday. Spicer met with a group of children at the White House, Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day, hosting a mock press briefing and answering their questions. And I got pictures of it here. These kids are cute. It says, the children whose parents are mostly White House staff and journalists with the White House press corps engaged with Spicer in the meeting, with one young boy asking about the president's plan to renegotiate NAFTA. President Trump surprised the youngsters when he joined them as they were lining up for a photo outside the Rose Garden. Don't be politicians and don't be reporters. Lead a normal life, the president advised the kids. He spent some time taking photos, signing autographs, and talking with the children. And it's got pictures of him with the kids. And there's a bunch of tweets about it. President Trump greets the kids at the White House, Take Your Child to Work Day. It says, say that again. Trump, who was joined by Vice President Mike Pence, Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, and Spicer, made a few playful jokes about the children's parents. How do we get your parents to like Trump better? He asked them, laughing. Do we like or love your parents? The president asked the kids at one point. Love, they shouted back. Good, we're safe, he replied. In addition to meeting the president and the press briefing with Spicer, the children were also treated to a tour of the old executive office building and bowled in the president's lanes. So there you have something a little heartwarming to end the episode on this Saturday morning. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up. Even if you don't like it, give it a thumbs up. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that. That way you'll stay informed. Have a great day.